Hey everyone, today I want to talk a little bit about short selling. And I want to take a bit of a different approach. I'm not here to talk about, why short selling is anything someone should do or not do, or even how to do it. But over the past 9 to call it 12 months, there's been just a lot of rhetoric out there, and quite frankly, things are getting quite bitter. And a lot of people seem to think that short sellers are out to get you. And here's a bit of a spoiler alert in terms of what we're going to cover here for the next couple minutes. The average short seller, the hedge fund or whatever they really are not trying to hurt you. That's not their goal, and there's really no benefit that we get from that. With the average short seller is an analyst that is simply trying to seek the truth of, what an underlying company let's say they have a case that an underlying company is doing something fraudulent, right? And there's many examples like that throughout history of the markets where short sellers have been bringing the truth of a company's wrongdoing or less than rosy future outlook, let's say, in a less severe case, up to the open. And that's good. Right? But here's an example that I thought might make sense for some people to get their head around this. So back in the last financial crisis that people know as the housing crisis, 2008, 9, 10, around that sort of 2-3 year period, there was a lot of people that made a lot of money by shorting the housing market, as people would call it. And so what these people would do, among other things, buy protection on credits, something called a credit default swap, that even buy credit default swap protection on CDOs, collateral obligations, or CDO squared, and so on and so forth. But if you think that the average short seller is trying to take your money, get you out of the trade, then that's a little bit like saying that back in the financial crisis, the people who just bought credit default swaps, i.e. protection on credits, credit meaning corporate credit, bonds, that those people, their main objective was to put you out of your house. And I can tell you that's definitely not the case. That's not what they were trying to do. They were simply found what was happening in the market at the time was crazy. The quality of the debt being great at AAA was simply not it was awful, basically all defaulting. And so they're simply trying to bring that to the front. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not here to defend short sellers. That's absolutely not the point of this video. I'm also not advocating, like I said before, that anyone should do it or shouldn't do it. I'm just trying to bring out in the open a little bit more of a rational tone, hopefully, that if you really think that these hedge funds are out there to stick it to the retail investor, I can guarantee you that for the vast majority of those cases, 98%, that's definitely not the case. The average short seller is simply trying to express their analysis, in this case by betting against the company as opposed to by betting with the company, meaning otherwise they'd be buying, looking for higher prices. So let's bring along an example here that I think a lot of people could probably understand. So this is the simple stock chart of a company called Peloton, which is, if you don't know, they make exercise bikes and things of that nature. So back in the late 2020, November, December period, coming into 2021, I was involved in talking to a lot of what we would call smart money investors, and I don't like that term, but let's call them hedge funds and other outfits like that were looking to put on short positions on Peloton. And I can guarantee you there's not a single word that fell in all that analysis I did with them that had anything to do with trying to burn the retail investor. But it had everything to do with what our near-term, multiple week, maybe a couple of months, maybe 2-3 months case was for why we thought that stock was likely not going to go much higher and more likely go down. And the reason for the case was that we thought that the pandemic was going to slowly start to peak out. Vaccinations were forthcoming, and that people would simply not buy as many exercise bikes as they did over the past 9-12 months. Yeah, I guess 9 months at that point. And that a lot of demand that the company would see had been brought forward. This is nothing saying that the company was doing any fraudulent or anything like that. We're simply saying that we didn't think that this company's demand for products going forward for the next probably years, couple of years or so at most, has been brought forward, and the stock is likely to be a short just from that purpose. So that has nothing to do with trying to stick it to the retail investor. And I hope this is an example that kind of, it clarifies things. And I bring this up specifically because just last week I sort of, watched a couple TV interviews on some prominent financial television stations, and they had a couple segments on with people that were very involved in these meme stocks, and it was very clear that their base case really was that these short sellers were there to gun it against the retail investor, and how they want to take it, finally beat these bad hedge funds, and how they should be done taking money from the public. And they're not. That's not their main goal in the majority of short selling. Now, again, I can't speak for everything, of course, but the vast majority of these things are not done to hurt you as an individual investor. Again, doesn't make it right necessarily, doesn't make it wrong in my opinion either necessarily. I'm not advocating either side really. I'm trying to bring to light that, these are simply analysts most of the time. Again, I can't speak for all, but most of the time that are just expressing their view. And by the way, again, like I said before, there's been many, many, many cases in the past where hedge funds and other vehicles, I don't have to call them hedge funds necessarily, have brought the truth to the market, and thereby actually helped save retail investors from really bad things that companies are doing. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. Again, I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, let us know, and we will see you in the next video.